Hello all and welcome to TVM Academy. This is VARC 100, a free practice course for CAT verbal section. RC number 44 of the series. Let's begin. In the first paragraph, author tells us that the earliest hospitals started as shelters for the poor and sick. Later, for their own survival, private hospitals also started attracting middle class patients. And gradually, with the advent of health insurance, they restricted themselves to to middle class patients, and the poor were left with no choice but to go to public hospitals for their care. Okay. And finally, in the last paragraph, author tells us with increasing influx of government money and resulting superior technology, private hospitals have attracted the best talent, whereas the government hospitals are not as good. So the differences between public and private hospitals is being discussed. The historical context, author provides us a historical context of the differences between public and private hospitals. With this basic understanding, we can deal with the questions. Can be inferred that the author believes the differences that currently exist between public and private hospitals are primarily the result of. So what is the primary reason behind it? Clearly written, with a tremendous influx of federal money into private medical schools and the associated hospitals, private hospitals have become better and they have attracted the best talent, which means economic factors, money is a factor. Easy question, option B is the answer. It can be inferred that the growth of private health insurance has done what? It was written that with the advent of private health insurance, the private hospitals got a stable source of income, and now they got revenue generating patients, leaving the public hospitals to care for the poor. That is what happened. Okay. Option A, the local governments were relieved of the need to fund public hospitals. Opposite, the local governments are still funding the public hospitals. They are not funding the private hospitals. They might not be funding the private hospitals anymore. Even this is not known from the passage. So this is data insufficiency, whether they are funding private hospitals or not. And about public hospitals are still funded by the local governments. So this is wrong. Option B, it guaranteed that the poor would have access to medical care. Quite the opposite. They have access to poor medical care in public hospitals. They forced the middle class patients to use public hospital. Again, the opposite. They are using private hospitals, not public hospitals. They reinforced the rise of the growth of private health insurance, reinforced the distinction between public and private hospitals. That's correct. It made the differences between public and private hospitals even worse. So public hospitals were left to care for the poor and private hospitals became swanky. So option D is the obvious choice. Author's primary concern in the passage is to do what? Option A, to describe the financial structure of the healthcare industry too vast, too broad. This answer choice is too broad. He's not describing the financial structure. He only describes the standard of care in these two, private and public hospitals. Option B, to demonstrate the importance of government support. Author does not talk about the importance of government support. His focal point in the passage is the differences between public and private hospitals and the historical context of these differences. Option C, to explore the etymological origins of the word hospital. The linguistic dimension, the linguistic aspects of the word hospital were discussed only in the second paragraphs. The hospital word comes from this particular root. So linguistic aspects were discussed only in the second paragraph. After that, he starts discussing the differences. So this is narrow, too narrow. Option D, to identify the historical causes of division between private and public hospitals. Exactly correct. Okay. Easy passage. The author cites all of the following as factors contributing to the decline of public hospitals, except, okay, 3 factors are mentioned. Option A, government money was used to subsidize private medical schools. Last paragraph, first line written. So this was a factor in the decline of public hospitals. It contributed to the decline of public hospitals. Public hospitals are not able to compete with private institutions for top class managers and doctors, top class talent. Again, last paragraph written. They don't have, they can't attract the best administrators, etc. So this is also written. Large private medical centers have better research facilities and more extensive research programs. Again written, they don't have researchers, they don't have resources available. Okay. So the expensive research equipment available. So option C is also a factor. Blue Cross insurance coverage does not reimburse the subscribers for medical expenses incurred in a public hospital. Factually incorrect. Blue Cross does not reimburse for particular kind of services such as ambulatory care. So a very particular service is not reimbursed by the Blue Cross plans. Does not mean that it does not reimburse for public hospitals. So therefore, this is not mentioned as a reason behind, as a factor contributing to the decline of public hospitals. Last question. Author implies that any outpatient care provided by a hospital is what? Okay. Any outpatient care provided by a hospital. Second last paragraph, last line. Author says, outpatient care has not been a major function of the private hospital. It has not been a major function. Not been a major function. Because, in part because private patients can afford the services of private physicians. So it is not a major function. Outpatient care is not a major function because they can afford private physicians, which means private physicians are better than, or they are more important than private services of private physicians is more important than or a major function. And if you can afford that, you don't need outpatient care probably. That is what it is written, which means outpatient care is only auxiliary, a subsidiary service, not the major function. It was written here, not been a major function. So it was auxiliary to the treatment by a private physician. It is subsidiary, auxiliary to a private physician's service. Option B should be the answer. Okay. Option A says outpatient care provided by a hospital is paid for by the private insurance. As a matter of fact, outpatient care, ambulatory services are not reimbursed by private insurance companies. It is supplied primarily by private hospitals. Nowhere mentioned that outpatient care is primarily provided by private hospitals. Quite the opposite, contradictory. They don't need it. It's not a major function. So public hospitals probably provide it. Okay. It's a source of revenue for public hospitals. Again, not mentioned. And probably Blue Cross plans do not even cover outpatient services. Therefore, how could it be a source of revenue for the public hospitals, right? So we don't know that. Correct answer, option B from the sentence that we just read. Hope you like the passage. Easy passage. This was probably one of the easiest passages I've shared with you. And I hope you got all 5 correct. Keep learning, keep improving. Cheers to learning. An important update before I sign off. The VARC booster course has been launched, as you might have seen on the YouTube channel. The discounted price for the course is valid only till 19th of June. That is Sunday. Make sure you purchase before it if you want to enroll. After that, the same course will cost you 4,500. Right now it is 3,500. So make sure you buy it before 19th of June. Bye-bye. Cheers to learning. Until next time, study hard, practice harder.